My sister mocked my engagement party invite. "We're all in Maldives. No one's coming." That night, the first time I realized my sister could turn anything into a performance. I was 12, and she was already practicing smiles like they were currency. Natalie learned early what our family rewarded: volume, confidence, photos, and the appearance of being chosen. I learned something else: how to watch, how to wait, how to keep my hands steady while someone else took the attention. By the time I got engaged, those lessons were muscle memory. I sent the engagement party invites on a Tuesday, January 9th at 7:14 p.m. because my calendar was clean and my mind was quieter after work. The PDF was simple: cream background, black serif font, and one photo of Daniel and me taken at the Botanical Gardens. No filters, no heavy edits. Just two people standing close, his hand on my shoulder, my ring not shoved into the frame. Engagement dinner, it said. Saturday, January 20th, 7 p.m., the Astor Room, Harbor House. I'd paid the deposit 2 weeks earlier, $650. I'd chosen Harbor House because it was neutral, nice enough to feel like a milestone, but not loud enough to turn into a stage. 30 seats, set menu, no dance floor, a room where conversation mattered. Daniel didn't ask me to keep it small. I did that on my own, not because I was ashamed, but because I'd watched what happened when milestones got absorbed into Natalie's orbit. She didn't celebrate people. She repurposed them. My phone lit up with a few quick replies. Hearts, so happy, questions about parking. Then, at 7:39 p.m., Natalie answered. Not privately, not with a normal message. She reposted my invite to her Instagram story. She circled the date with a thick neon annotation tool and wrote, "Cute." Below that, she added another line, smaller but sharper: "We're all in Maldives. No one's coming." It sat there for 24 hours, like an open mouth in the middle of my screen. I stared at it long enough to notice she'd tagged 3 people: my cousin Farah, our childhood friend Lena, and my own mother. Then she added a poll sticker. "Would you skip this for Maldives?" Options: yes/obviously. Within minutes, the votes were mostly obviously. I wasn't in that group chat they all used. I hadn't been for years. I only learned things through leakages, screenshots sent by someone who still felt uncomfortable, a vague comment at a family dinner, a change in tone. Natalie's story wasn't about the Maldives. It was about letting everyone see where the power was. Daniel was in the kitchen, rinsing dishes with the calm patience he had about everything. He saw my face and dried his hands on a towel. "What happened?" he asked. I turned the phone toward him. He read it once. Then again, slower. I watched his jaw tighten. Not anger, exactly, more like a mental filing cabinet closing. "Did she already book something?" he asked. "I don't know," I said. "You want me to call her?" "No," I said, and the word came out clean. Daniel held my eyes for a second, then nodded. He'd learned, gently, that my silence wasn't weakness. It was restraint. It was me not feeding a situation the way Natalie wanted. I put my phone down and opened my laptop, not to respond, not to complain, to check my email. I searched Harbor House. I pulled up the contract. I reread the cancellation policy. Deposit non-refundable within 14 days of event. Guest count due 72 hours prior. We were still outside that window. I had time. I also had another reason I wanted that night to go exactly as planned, something I hadn't told most people yet. I'd gotten a promotion the previous Friday, quietly. No announcement. No posts. A new title and a new salary, confirmed in writing, effective February 1st. Daniel and I had agreed to wait until after the engagement dinner to share it, not as a reveal, but as a calm conversation with our families. We'd be moving to a better apartment in spring, planning the wedding with our own budget, no loans, no help with strings attached. Natalie didn't like things she couldn't insert herself into. She didn't like someone else having a plan. At 8:22 p.m., my mother called. I answered because I always answered my mother. "Hi," I said. She didn't greet me. She started with a sigh that sounded rehearsed. "Did you see what your sister posted?" "Yes." "And?" my mother asked, as if my response was supposed to be immediate and dramatic. "Are you going to say something?" "No," I said. She paused, like she hadn't prepared for a calm answer. "Well, people are talking," she said. "You know how Natalie is. She's just joking. I understand. Another pause. She said she thought you'd be fine because you're practical, my mother continued, and that you'd prefer something smaller anyway. She already mentioned that everyone was planning Maldives for that week. That week? I repeated, not correcting her yet.
Yes, my mother said.
Farah's birthday trip. You know about it, right? No, I said. My mother's voice shifted into that tone people use when they want to punish you for not being included.
Well,
it's not a secret. It's just, you've been busy. I didn't explain that being busy didn't mean being exiled from my own family's conversations. Instead, I asked, when is the trip? January 18th to the 23rd, she said. My engagement dinner was January 20th. I let that settle without reacting. So, my mother said carefully, maybe you should move the dinner or do something casual. A brunch! Less pressure. Natalie said she could help you organize something when you come to your senses. When you come to your senses. Like my engagement dinner was a phase. I looked at my laptop screen again. The contract.
the date? The deposit?
30 seats. I had the sudden clarity that Natalie wasn't mocking the invite because she wanted to travel. She was mocking it because she wanted to demonstrate that she could erase my event with one story post. Mom, I said, did you already book a ticket? She hesitated. Not yet. And did Natalie? I think so. She said she did? She said everyone did. Okay, I said. Thank you for telling me. That's all? My mother asked, irritation starting to peek through. You're not upset? I'm aware, I said. That's enough for now. Don't do anything embarrassing, my mother warned softly. You know how people judge. I almost smiled. People judging had never been Natalie's fear. It was my mother's. I won't, I said, and I meant it. After I hung up, I opened Instagram again. Natalie's story was still up, now layered with more additions. Someone had replied obeviously, and Natalie had reposted it with laughing emojis. Another person had messaged, "Wait, is she really doing a dinner?" And Natalie wrote, "Yes, babe, she's adorable." Adorable. In our family vocabulary, adorable meant small, harmless, manageable, the opposite of someone to take seriously. I didn't click her profile. I didn't view more stories, I took screenshots. Not the kind you share out of anger, the kind you store in a folder. I created one on my desktop, Engagement, James 2026. Inside it, I saved the screenshot of her story with my invite, the poll, her adorable caption, and the timestamp in the upper left corner. Then I opened my messages and searched for the last time Natalie had mentioned anything about a trip. Nothing. No invitation. No heads up. No, we're planning something. Just the public mockery. I wasn't surprised. Natalie didn't like giving people choices. She liked revealing decisions already made. At 9:03 p.m., a new notification came in. A DM from Lena, short and hesitant. Hey, I saw Nat's story. Are you okay? I didn't know about Maldives either. I stared at the message and felt the situation sharpen into something clearer. Natalie wasn't announcing a trip. She was claiming one, declaring that everyone was going whether they were or not. She was manufacturing a consensus, and my engagement dinner was her prop. I replied to Lena with the simplest truth. I'm okay. Thank you. If you're free on the 20th, I'd love to see you. Lena responded almost immediately. I am. I'll be there. I saved that too, not because I needed to catch anyone, but because I was building a timeline. Who knew what? When they knew it. What Natalie claimed versus what was real. Daniel came into the living room with 2 mugs of tea. He set one in front of me without a word. He looked at the screenshots on my laptop. You're keeping everything, he said. Yes, I said. Do you think she's lying? He asked. I think she's counting on the idea that nobody will question her, I said. He sat down, quiet, letting me steer. I'm not moving the dinner, I said. Okay. I'm not confronting her, I added. Okay. He studied my face. What are you going to do? I closed the laptop gently, like I was closing a file at work. I'm going to let her keep talking, I said. People get careless when they think they're untouchable.
Daniel nodded once. Tell me what you need.
I need the night to happen, I said, exactly as planned. He didn't ask why. He didn't need the reason spelled out. He trusted that I had one. I picked up my phone again and opened the engagement invite. Email draft still sitting in my sent folder. The guest list was there. Family, a few close friends, my coworkers. 30 names. I scanned them. Then I scrolled back to Natalie's story and watched the poll results climb. Yes! 22% obviously. 78%. The numbers looked definitive, like reality had been decided in percentages. But polls weren't proof. Bookings were. And that night, as Natalie kept laughing publicly, my phone buzzed again, this time with a message that made my hands go very still. It was from Farah, a single line. Hey, did Natalie tell you she put your name on the Maldives villa list? I read it twice, then a third time, because the sentence didn't fit cleanly into the world I thought I was living in. I didn't answer right away.
I took a screenshot and I let the silence do its work.
I didn't answer Farah for almost 20 minutes, not because I didn't know what to say, but because I needed to be precise. Natalie's advantage had always been speed. Mine was accuracy. At 9:27 p.m., I replied, "No. What do you mean? She put my name on it." 3 dots appeared. Disappeared. Appeared again. She said the villa needed everyone's full names for the booking, Farah wrote. She already sent the deposit. She said you were in, just couldn't travel because of work stuff. I read that slowly. Deposit. Names. She said you were in. I kept my tone neutral. Did she say how much the deposit was?
$1,800 total, Farah replied. Split 6 ways.
She said. Everyone already Venmo'd her. 6 ways. I counted in my head. Natalie. My mother? Farah. Lena. 2 of Natalie's friends I barely knew. And me. My name on a booking I hadn't agreed to for a trip I hadn't been invited to during my own engagement weekend. I didn't accuse, I didn't react. I asked for information. Do you have the booking confirmation? Another pause, longer this time. I can ask her, Farah wrote. Why? I chose my words carefully. Because she told me something different, I said, and I want to make sure we're all on the same page. That was true, and it wasn't. Farah sent a thumbs up emoji and went quiet. I hadn't checked it in months because I didn't need to. I paid my bills. I lived within my means. My credit had been stable since my mid-20s. But Natalie had my full legal name. She had my date of birth, she knew my address, and she had a habit of assuming permission. The report loaded slowly. Then I saw it. A soft inquiry from a travel finance service dated January 6th, 3 days before my invite went out. I clicked into the details. The inquiry was linked to a shared accommodation booking. My name, my information. No open account yet, just the inquiry. But it meant she'd tried. I sat very still. This wasn't about embarrassment anymore. This wasn't about a mean joke on Instagram. This was documentation. I saved the report as a PDF and added it to the folder. At 1:03 a.m., I emailed myself a summary. Dates, names, screenshots. What was said to whom? I didn't sleep much that night, but not because I was anxious. I was focused. The next morning, Natalie escalated. She posted another story. This one, a collage of beach photos from a previous trip, overlaid with text, "When priorities don't align, Closani." She tagged no, 1. She didn't need to. By lunchtime, I got a Venmo request from Natalie. Maldives Villa, your share, Cug. $300. She added a palm tree emoji.
I didn't decline it.
I screenshotted it. Then I checked the timestamp. 11:46 a.m. That was important. At 12:02 p.m., she texted me directly for the first time since the invite. Hey, just sent you the request for Maldives. No rush, but the host needs confirmation today, E. I waited 12 minutes before replying. I didn't agree to this trip, I wrote. Please remove my name from anything it's attached to. Her response came instantly.
Relax. It's just easier to list everyone.
You're not even coming. That sentence mattered. I replied once more. I'm not paying for something I didn't authorize. She left me on red. An hour later, the Venmo request was still there. At 2:41 p.m., I got an email from a booking platform I didn't recognize. Your reservation details. My heart rate didn't spike. I'd expected this. I opened it. The reservation was for a luxury villa in the Maldives, January 18th to 23rd. Primary guest, Natalie. Additional guests listed? 5 names, mine included. I scrolled. Payment method. Split payment pending confirmation from all parties. My email was listed as a contact, which meant she'd used my email to complete the form. I checked the metadata. The confirmation email had been forwarded to me, not sent directly. Natalie had forwarded it. At 2:38 p.m., 3 minutes before it landed in my inbox, I saved everything. At that point, I had what I needed legally, but not what I needed socially. Natalie's power didn't come from systems. It came from narratives, from the idea that she was generous, inclusive, the organizer, the one who handled things. If I exposed her too early, she'd pivot, she'd cry, she'd say it was a misunderstanding, so I didn't expose anything. I confirmed my engagement dinner guest count instead, 30 seats, 23 confirmed, 7 pending. More than enough. Over the next few days, Natalie grew bolder, she commented under my engagement photo on Facebook. So happy for you, sad we'll miss it, Maldives calls. People liked it, hearted it, assumed it was true. I didn't correct her. Behind the scenes, people started asking me quietly, "Are you really not doing anything because of the trip? Is everything okay between you and Natalie? Should I still come?" I answered the same way every time. Yes, everything is happening as planned. I'd love to see you. No explanations. No drama. On January 14th, Farah called me. "I feel weird," she said. "Natalie keeps changing the numbers. First she said you paid. Then she said you were late. Now she's saying you backed out last minute." "I didn't back out," I said calmly. "I was never in." She showed me a message. Farah said. She said it was from you. "Did you screenshot it?" I asked. A pause. "Yes," Farah said. Something felt off. "Can you send it to me?" I asked. When it came through, my chest tightened, not with anger, but with clarity. The message was edited. My name was cropped onto a generic text bubble. The timestamp didn't match. The font spacing was wrong. It was fake. I added it to the folder. That was the key receipt. Not the Venmo request. Not the booking. Not even the credit inquiry. The fake message was proof of intent. And intent, once documented, had weight. On January 17th, the night before the Maldives trip, Natalie posted a countdown story. Next stop, Paradise Wholesome. She tagged everyone again. Everyone except me. I didn't watch it. I was busy printing documents, contracts, screenshots, email headers. I slid them into a slim folder and placed it inside my bag for the next night. The engagement dinner she was so sure no one would attend. As I zipped it closed, my phone buzzed. A message from Natalie. "FYI, if anyone asks, tell them you bailed. Saves explanations." I looked at the screen for a long moment. Then I set the phone down, untouched, because now she'd done exactly what I needed. She'd put it in writing, and the timing was perfect. On the morning of January 20th, I woke up before my alarm, not because I was nervous, but because my mind was already organized. Everything I needed had been collected. Nothing else required my attention. Daniel was still asleep, one arm draped across my waist, steady and warm. I lay there for a few minutes, listening to his breathing, grounding myself in the ordinariness of the moment. This wasn't a showdown day. It was an engagement dinner day. Natalie landed in the Maldives at 6:40 a.m., our time. I knew because she posted it. A photo of her passport half covered by a coconut drink, location tagged, captioned, "Finally numb me." Within minutes, comments rolled in. Fire emojis, jealous replies. "Living your best life." My mother commented a heart. I didn't look at it again. By 9 a.m., I was at my desk answering emails, closing loops, finishing tasks early. At 11:15, I forwarded my out-of-office notice. "Unavailable this evening due to a personal event. No explanation." At noon, Harbor House called to confirm the guest count. 27, I said. "Perfect," the manager replied. "We'll set the room accordingly." At 1:30 p.m., I met my friend Elise for coffee. Elise was one of the few people who knew everything, not because I'd vented, but because she'd witnessed Natalie's patterns for years. "She's posting nonstop," Elise said, sliding her phone across the table. "She really thinks this is a win." I glanced briefly. Natalie had posted a story from the villa. White walls, open-air living room, infinity pool bleeding into ocean. When everyone chooses paradise, cow. I handed the phone back. "She thinks this is about attendance," I said. Elise nodded. "What's it actually about?" "Control," I said. "And documentation," she smiled faintly. "You're terrifying when you're calm." At 4 p.m., I went home to get ready. I didn't wear white. I didn't wear anything dramatic. I chose a navy dress I'd owned for years, tailored, simple, unremarkable in the way that made people listen instead of stare. The folder went into my bag. At 5:20 p.m., my mother called. I let it ring twice before answering. "Hi," I said. "Are you sure you don't want to reschedule?" She asked immediately. "Natalie just posted that the flight was exhausting. She's going to be so sad she missed this." "She didn't miss it," I said. "She chose something else." "That's not fair," my mother said. "You know how she is." "Yes," I said.
I do. Silence stretched.
"Well," my mother said finally, "I'm getting ready. I'll see you soon." "I'll see you soon," I echoed. At 6:40 p.m., Daniel and I arrived at Harbor House. The Astor Room glowed softly through the glass. Warm lighting, long tables set with white linen and eucalyptus runners, place cards neatly arranged. Wine already breathing. People were there, not trickling in. "There." Farah waved when she saw me. Lena stood up from her seat. My aunt hugged me. 2 coworkers smiled, jackets draped over chairs. 27 chairs. 27 people. No one asked where Natalie was. That alone told me everything I needed to know. We mingled. We laughed. Daniel's parents arrived with a bottle of champagne and a quiet pride that felt grounding. The room filled with conversation that had nothing to do with Instagram. At 7:18 p.m., my mother arrived. She looked around, confused for just a second, counting heads without meaning to. "This is more people than I thought," she said. "Yes," I replied. "I sent invitations." She sat down slowly, her expression unreadable. Dinner was served at 7:30. Between courses, my phone buzzed in my bag. I didn't check it. At 8:04, Elise leaned toward me. "She's live," she whispered. I didn't look. At 8:15, Daniel stood to thank everyone for coming. He kept it short, gracious, focused on the future. When he sat back down, there was a natural pause. That was my moment. I didn't stand. I didn't raise my voice. I simply placed my fork down and said calmly, "Before dessert, there's something I want to clarify." The room quieted, not abruptly, but attentively. These were people who respected tone.
I want to address something that's been circulating, I continued.
Not to create conflict, but to correct the record. My mother stiffened. I opened my bag and took out the folder. No drama. No flourish. I'd been told, publicly and privately, that no one would attend tonight because everyone was in the Maldives, I said. As you can see, that wasn't accurate. A few people exchanged glances. Farah's jaw tightened slightly. I was also told that I had agreed to and paid for a trip I did not consent to, I continued. That, too, is not accurate. I paused. Not for effect, but to let the words land. "I'm not here to accuse," I said. "I'm here to document." I slid the folder across the table toward my mother. Inside were copies, not originals, of the Venmo request, the forwarded booking confirmation, the credit inquiry, and the edited message with metadata visible. "I've already removed my name from the reservation and frozen my credit," I said evenly. "No further action is required tonight." My mother opened the folder. She didn't speak. Neither did anyone else. The silence wasn't shocked. It was heavy.
I didn't share this earlier because I wanted tonight to be about Daniel and me, I said. And it is.
I looked around the table. "I won't be discussing this further during dinner," I added. But I needed it to be said in a room where facts matter. I closed the folder. At that exact moment, my phone buzzed again. This time I looked. It was a notification. Natalie started a live video. I didn't click it, but I knew. She had no idea what had just happened. And neither did the audience watching her. Yet, I lifted my glass. "Thank you for being here," I said simply. People raised theirs. And somewhere thousands of miles away, Natalie was smiling into a camera, unaware that the story she'd been telling was about to collapse, publicly, and without my saying another word. Dessert arrived quietly. Lemon tart, espresso cups, the soft return of conversation that had paused but not broken. No one pressed me. That was the most telling part. The people at the table understood something important had shifted, and they respected the boundary I'd set without needing it explained again. Daniel reached for my hand under the table. He didn't squeeze. He didn't look at me for reassurance. He was simply there. At 8:42 p.m., my phone buzzed again. This time, it wasn't Natalie. It was a notification from Instagram. "You were mentioned in a live video."
I didn't open it. At 8:45, my mother excused herself from the table.
She stepped just outside the glass doors, phone already in her hand. Her posture was rigid in a way I'd seen before. When she realized too late that something couldn't be smoothed over, I let her go. At 8:51, Farah leaned toward me. "She's spiraling," she said quietly. I met her eyes. "I know." Farah hesitated. She's saying, "You sabotaged the trip."
I nodded once.
She would. "And that you're jealous," Farah added. "That you couldn't afford it?" I took a sip of water. "That's easier than the truth," Farah exhaled. "People are asking questions." That was enough. At 9:02 p.m., I stood, not dramatically, just naturally, and excused myself from the table. Daniel stayed seated. This wasn't his moment. I stepped into the hallway and opened my phone. Natalie's live video was still running. I joined silently. She was sitting on the edge of a pool, villa lights glowing behind her, hair perfectly arranged. She looked irritated, not panicked yet. She was still in performance mode. "I don't know why she's doing this," Natalie was saying to the camera. I tried to include her. I paid up front, and now she's twisting it like I did something wrong. Comments scrolled fast. "What happened? Didn't she bail? This is messy." She said, "You're good with money. Receipts?" Natalie laughed lightly. "I'm not dragging family online. That's tacky." I tapped the screen once. "I didn't request to speak. I didn't comment," I posted. Not a story.
Not a captioned rant.
A single carousel post, 4 images. No text except one line at the bottom, clarifying misinformation. January 9th, 20. Image 1. Natalie's repost of my engagement invite with the "No one's coming" caption. Timestamp visible. Image 2. The Venmo request. Date, amount, note. Image 3. The booking confirmation email with metadata visible, my name added as additional guest. Image 4. The edited text message next to the original, differences highlighted. That was it. I didn't tag her. I didn't tag anyone. I posted it publicly and locked my phone. When I walked back into the Asta room, the energy had shifted again. But this time it wasn't heavy. It was resolved. Daniel looked up at me. "You okay?" "Yes," I said. And I was. At 9:11 p.m., Natalie's live ended abruptly. At 9:13, my phone buzzed with a call from her. I declined it. At 9:14, she texted, "What the hell did you just post?" I didn't respond. At 9:16, my mother came back inside. She didn't sit down immediately. She looked at me first. "I didn't know," she said quietly. "I know," I replied. She swallowed. "She used my card for part of the deposit." I nodded. "That's between you and her." My mother sat down slowly, like someone realizing a role they'd been playing no longer existed. At 9:22, Elise showed me her phone. Natalie's comments section had changed. The emojis were gone. People were tagging each other, asking direct questions, posting screenshots of things Natalie had told them that didn't line up. Someone wrote, "Why did you say she paid when she didn't?" Another, "You said everyone agreed?" Another, "This isn't a misunderstanding." Natalie posted a story 15 minutes later. Black screen, white text, taking a break from social media. Mental health matters. I didn't screenshot it. I didn't need to. The consequences didn't explode. They unraveled. The villa host canceled the split payment option when 2 guests withdrew. The remaining cost landed back on Natalie and my mother. The booking platform flagged the altered message after Farah forwarded it. The soft inquiry on my credit was reversed with documentation. Natalie stopped posting for weeks. When she resurfaced, her tone was different. Smaller, vague. She didn't apologize publicly. She didn't need to. The absence said more than a statement ever could. A month later, she texted me. "Can we talk?" I waited a full day before replying. "If you'd like to apologize and discuss boundaries, yes. Otherwise, no." 3 dots appeared, then disappeared. "We didn't talk." And that was the quietest justice of all. Daniel and I moved in April, just like we planned. We paid for our wedding ourselves. We kept things simple, honest, ours. Natalie wasn't involved. My relationship with my mother changed, not overnight, but permanently. She stopped asking me to accommodate. She stopped explaining Natalie to me. She started listening more than speaking. As for me, I didn't gain anything dramatic. No applause, no viral fame worth mentioning. What I gained was something steadier. My name, unattached to someone else's story. My milestones, unclaimed. My silence, intact until it mattered. And the knowledge that patience, quiet, documented, deliberate, has a way of ending performances without ever stepping on stage. I closed the message and opened my banking app. I searched Natalie's name. Nothing pending. No charge. No request. Then I searched my email for Airbnb, Booking.com, VRBO, anything travel-related, nothing. Which meant one of 2 things. Either Natalie had paid everything herself, or she'd used someone else's account. I knew which was more likely. Natalie had always had a casual relationship with other people's resources. Growing up, she'd borrowed clothes without asking. Used my textbooks because she couldn't find hers. Once even put a gym membership in my name because her credit was temporarily weird. It was always temporarily. It was always urgent. It was always framed as harmless. I'd stopped confronting her years ago, not because I'd forgiven her, but because I'd learned confrontation only taught her how to hide things better. This time, I didn't need her to hide. I needed her to continue.
At 10:02 p.m., Lena texted me privately. "I'm uncomfortable," she wrote.
Natalie just added me to a Maldives group chat and said, "You're half in." What does that mean? I pictured Natalie, confident and careless, narrating reality as if it were hers to edit. "It means I'm not going," I replied. "But I appreciate you telling me." "She said you already paid your share," Lena wrote. "Did you?" There it was, a clean, verifiable lie. "No," I said. And I didn't authorize anything. Lena didn't respond immediately. When she did, it was short. "Okay."
"I'm taking screenshots." I added that to the folder too.
By midnight, I had 3 separate confirmations, from Farah, Lena, and a mutual acquaintance, that Natalie was telling people I was financially involved in the trip, not attending, but participating. Paying. At 12:18 a.m., my mother sent a text. "Natalie says you're being dramatic again. Please don't make this bigger than it is." I didn't reply. Instead, I opened my credit report.